I'm going to read for you two poems. The first one is called The Battle of Adwa, 1896. Preceding Adwa, remember this: the Europeans carved up our homes with bloodthirst, not because we were the third world, but because we were the first. Because we held gold in our hearts, because we had diamonds for eyes, because oil ran through our veins, and a blessing hung in our skies. Remember that when they scrambled in the conference in Berlin and callously carved up Africa, searing each African skin, it was not just because of greed or a need to sow seeds saturated with sorrow, but because through Africa's greatness, they envisioned their own great tomorrow, the beginning. Barriateri, the Italian general, had ice instead of eyes, and a tongue of 5 leather whips. Ras Alula was deafened by the whisper of lies that seeped from his lips. Through Alula's agents who could read the tone of Ethiopian winds, their whisper, "We will catch the Italian advance before the advance begins." And with anger, that of lions, and a swiftness of eagles' wings, Alula rose, magnificent, and rode to the foot of Menelik the king. With all their 5 generals, Menelik growled, 5 armies and damned attacks. It will take one strong Ethiopia to break their stiffened backs. Meantime, with a pomp and a primitive greed, the Italians embarked on their plan. They left for Adwa from Mentisco with nighttime a shroud for each man. Unbeknown, every step was recorded by Alula's silent, speedy spies who traced the battalion's movement through the reflections they left in the sky. The Italians, noting the Ethiopian dawn as a cloak for the surprise attack, had no knowledge that the warriors were waiting and would give the surprise right back with all their 5 generals. Ras Alula whispered their armies and planned attacks. It will take one strong Ethiopia to break their brittle backs. The war. The Ethiopians advanced from below, a hero's sacrifice for a country's love. Suffice as they fell and blood spilled, another flank rained from above, and so unveiled complex maneuvers of hope, of honor for history, whose aim the breaking of evil, the waking of victory. The Ethiopians from all province, gathered with truth as protection, descended around Adwa with justice and honor and unity as their weapon. The cracking, snapping of rattling rifles awoke the morning sun. From the ridges the Italians poured fire. The Battle of Adwa begun. With all their 5 generals, Ras Mengisha fought with their armies and their attacks. It will take one strong Ethiopia to break their stiffened backs. The victory. It seemed the more Ethiopians were killed, then twice as many returned. The more they tried to drench their spirits, the more their spirits burned. It seemed as if amongst the red mist, each man and woman that fell wounded rose again. Each breath of air rejuvenated his lungs. Each drop of blood seeped back to his veins. It seemed that the Ethiopians rose from the riverbeds. Calls came from the shadows of mountainsides with eyes of stone and dread, and Barriateri's generals, sensing the beginning of the end, succumbed to the deafening whisper, "Surrender, surrender, surrender." Remember this: it was not one of Ethiopia, but Ethiopia as one. It was not part of the son that won, but part of everyone. It was not the heart on its own, but its veins that pumped on. It was not just the warriors, but where they all came from. Remember this: how the story washed across the continent enslaved, flooded with the story of Adwa in a whispered tidal wave. From Kenya to Senegal, from Morocco to the Gambia, the liberation began in Adwa 1896 and ended in South Africa.